So maybe you're dating somebody and you feel like everything's been going pretty well for the most part, when suddenly they start to pull away. And you find yourself wondering, what am I supposed to do in this situation? How do I make sure that they keep investing in me? Should I turn around and match their energy and also pull back? And believe it or not, a lot of different resources on the internet may tell you that that's the best thing to do. But in today's video, I want to take you through what a secure person does to ensure the best short-term outcomes in dating while also ensuring the best long-term outcomes in dating. And I'll tell you why this actually matters. And we're going to cover 3 things very specifically. So if you're new to this channel, by the way, my name is Thais. I'm so happy that you're here and that you stopped by. I post daily content out here on YouTube after being in this field for more than a decade, talking about dating, attachment styles, the subconscious mind, and relationships, and how we can really heal our patterns. So I want to take you through something really important. And I will tell you, this is probably going to be unpopular opinion. But before I even give you the answer, should a secure person just match the other person's energy in dating, I want to tell you 2 really important principles, okay, that will help make sure that my answer makes the most sense to you. We often talk about how when we do things indirectly, when it comes to dating and relationships, usually the more indirect we are about trying to get our needs met in a relationship, there tends to be a quite common pattern that's correlated with the more indirect strategies we use to meet our needs, the more likely that strategy is to start moving down the trajectory of manipulation. So let me give you a story to actually make this make sense. So I had a client once and she was the sweetest. She was an anxious attachment style. She had a heart of gold. She always was really well-intentioned when it came to the people in her life. She made such an effort. She really poured into people. And for the sake of this video, we will call her Jane. And Jane was dating a dismissive avoidant, somebody a lot more avoidant in relationships, a lot more reserved. And for the sake of this video, we'll call that person Bob. And Jane was dating Bob for about 2.5 months, and she really wanted to know, where does he stand? Does he like me? Is he going to invest in this relationship? And she found that he was kind of inconsistent and sometimes pulled back and sometimes wasn't very expressive with his feelings. In fact, a lot of the time that was sort of the baseline. And one day she said that they were on a date and they went out after to meet a group of friends at a bar. And she said that she decided she was sick of not knowing where Bob stood. So she decided she would flirt with some other people around the bar and just be a little too flirtatious, a little bit, to see if Bob was going to get upset, because she knew that if Bob was going to get upset, that then she would find herself going, oh, well, then he does care. That is reassuring. Now, what do you think happened in this situation? Well, it didn't go the way that she planned. And it was something that we had to talk about in a session. I was just getting to know her a few sessions in, and we were like, wow, we really had to unpack this. What ended up happening is Bob shut down, didn't like the behavior, shut down even more. Of course, Bob is a dismissive avoidant, really went internal, really took a huge step back from her in the relationship. And it sort of backfired in terms of what she thought was going to happen. So what is this as we unpack this? Well, unfortunately, even though Jane had a literal heart of gold and meant so well, what Jane wasn't equipped with doing yet, and something that we had to work on, was we needed to make sure that Jane could learn to communicate her needs more vulnerably. And vulnerably is different than what everybody thinks about anxious attachment styles. People think, oh, because anxious attachment styles will say when they're upset or they'll share their feelings, that they're good at being vulnerable. That's not always the case. Anxious attachment styles actually usually hold in their feelings for a long period of time. And then when those feelings come out, they sometimes come out through emotional dumping or unhealthy strategies because they've been actually building up for a period of time first. In this particular case, what Jane wasn't doing vulnerably was saying, hey, Bob, we've been seeing each other for 2.5 months, and I'm interested to see where this is going. I like you. I enjoy spending time with you, but I also want to be mindful of my own boundaries and time. I know what I'm looking for, and I want to see progress in this relationship. It doesn't have to be immediate, but I need to know that we're on the same page, that we're moving in the same direction so that I can be mindful about how I'm investing my time and energy. Now, if she had been vulnerable and had a conversation bringing something like that up, then she was going to go direct to getting her needs met for reassurance, validation, or certainty, right? She needed those things. She was looking for some certainty. She needed a little bit of reassurance and validation. But because she didn't know how to communicate directly, she went in a very roundabout way to getting her needs met, which ended up being through a manipulative strategy. Well-intended. She had a heart of gold. It's not like she was a bad person, but trying to make your partner jealous to see where they stand is a form of manipulation. And you'll actually see this happen across the boards for people. The more that we feel disempowered to actually communicate what our needs are and to go directly to the source of saying, hey, this is my need, and speaking up naturally, the more manipulative we become. And of course, the more manipulation there is, the more downsides there are to a relationship. So you can see this in multiple forms. And I'm going to come back to the main part of the video in a second, but you can see this through covert contracts. How many people do we see? And this happens a lot for fearful avoidance, for anxious attachment styles, sometimes for enmeshed DAs, but very rarely. We'll see that people can go, oh, I'm going to do all these nice things for you so that then you'll feel like you owe me these nice things back. Or then I won't feel so afraid to ask you for when I need something. And it's like, that's a covert contract. That's just us trying to think that we're going to buy our way into getting something that we need through our time or our energy, or literally maybe physically buying things. And if we do these things, then the person's going to want to reciprocate. No, none of these things are building a relationship on a healthy, secure foundation. So what is the solution? Well, the solution, and this is going to come back in a second and loop into like, what does a secure person do if somebody's pulling away? The solution is direct communication and then vetting. And what do I mean by this? I mean that if you are in a situation where you are able to say directly to somebody that you have a need, and whatever that need is, for reassurance, for certainty, for anything, if you can communicate that need directly, then you can see how your partner responds. And then you can actually vet what it is that you can do next. Is this person ready to invest in a committed relationship? Is this person ready to invest in a healthy dynamic? And if you know what you're looking for clearly and specifically, then what you're going to be able to do is see, okay, is this person on the same page? Can we progress? And what people do wrong is they get into, and this is really what the premise is of this. If you're in a position in a relationship where somebody pulls back and your goal is to then match their energy and also pull back, this isn't something where it's like, okay, we're opening a foundation of healthy, direct communication. Now, there can be a part of it where we can be considerate of somebody else's pace. We can be considerate of their needs or their expectations. And we can actually be in a place where we can take that into consideration and make compromises. And that can be really healthy. But this idea that like we should just, mirror what somebody else is doing, and that's going to be the way that we're going to win over somebody's approval and get them to like us and want to invest in us, is actually backwards. So I'm going to tell you what the forwards way is of this that's actually going to create the best dating outcomes and why. And again, it might surprise you, but I'll come to it. One thing I just want to say too is if you want to go deep on this topic and learn how to date consciously and intentionally and know your standards and non-negotiables and how to vet, we actually have a How to Master the Dating Stage of Relationships course, all for different attachment styles, to also understand other attachment styles, but most importantly yourself, so that you can date in a way that's most likely to create healthy relationships that thrive, and all those really important key points for how to do that. So you can check that out fully for free just for a limited time. I'll put a link down below. And it actually gives you access to all the courses and PDFs just for a limited time. We're running this just now, so you can check it out down below. Now, here's where this becomes often counterintuitive. It's because if you match somebody's energy, sure, sometimes that can initially work. Sure, in the short term, then, maybe the other person feels a little bit anxious, or maybe they feel like, okay, I don't have the pressure on me here. I can figure out what to do next. I can maybe invest a little bit more in the person and feel things out. But what you are doing is you are going around and around in the same old circle, most likely to create the same types of dating outcomes. So here's what secure people actually do. Securely attached people, they know what they want. They know their standards and their non-negotiables. And if somebody pulls back during dating, they'll have a conversation about it. They'll say, hey, I noticed we haven't been connecting as much this week. Consistency is important for me when I'm getting to know somebody. Then after they say that that's important to them and let the other person know what they're looking for and what they need, they will then vet to see, does the person show up and make an effort to be more consistent? Does the needle move? And they will continue to communicate their needs and vet. They will also be very open to if somebody says, yeah, I just want to move really slowly, but consistency is important to me too. Could we slow down the pace? Right. A secure person could take that into consideration and make a compromise, but they will open the dialogue. They will have healthy, open, honest conversations so that they can then see, is this actually a compatibility? Like, are we actually in a position where the two of us are compatible? Whereas if instead we play these games, we try to get our needs met to see if somebody likes us indirectly by pulling back and playing games, all that's going to happen is you're going to end up in this perpetual state of game playing in order to get your needs met. And you're building a relationship dynamic on a foundation of sand because you're not actually having honest conversations about what you're looking for, what your needs are, what your expectations are, what the pacing is of the relationship that you'd like to move at. And so if everything is like, we can never show our cards, we can't open up, we can't speak about these things, everything's hidden and repressed, you are literally building the foundation of a relationship on the house of cards. Like, that's what it is. And then when there's actually hard things to move on or move through or discuss about, you're not going to have those tools together and you're not going to have vetted for the right partners in the first place who are necessarily even looking for what you're looking for. So now you're investing in somebody who you have to play games with in order to get your needs met. And then on top of that, you don't even know if you found somebody who's looking for the same things as you are. And so you're dating people that are likely more incompatible with you the more you have to play games. And so, all of this to say, and what I really want to highlight and push here is this idea that, like, look, if you want to find the right person, having open, honest, transparent communication about your needs early on is way more valuable than matching somebody's energy. Matching somebody's energy, although well intended, is often just another subtle form of manipulation in dating that is going to lead you to more likelihood of dating people who are not compatible with you, more likelihood of being in the wrong, incompatible relationship for a long period of time until you run into the hard things in the power struggle stage of a relationship, which every relationship goes through. It's one of the 6 relationship stages. And then you're going to see, oh my gosh, all these things are not working. And we don't have the tools to communicate because we've never been practicing doing that. So, should you match their energy? Probably maybe going to work in the short term, but you have to actually look at the big picture and ask yourself, what do you want? What are you looking for? Is that how you want to date? Is that what you want to do consciously? Or do you want to move in the direction a securely attached person would move in so that you can actually get your needs met, find people who are compatible with you, and build a relationship on the right foundation? And that is my question to you. So that's it for today. I hope this was a valuable video for you and shed some light and gave you some more perspective. If you have questions about this topic further, let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in future videos.